If you enjoy unusual stories, you've come to the right place.
Users of Reddit, what made the nice person finally snap? Guy I'd worked with for about 10 years. Never could get ahead at work, wasn't bad, but just didn't really excel. He was always kind, always ready to laugh and crack a joke. Never saw or heard him be mean. But apparently him and his wife were having some trouble, though I'd not heard him talk about it much. But one day while his youngest was out at church with a family member, he flipped out and shot his wife then himself. Another woman I worked with even prior to that, but at the same place, was super sweet and always smiling. She was mid-divorce and drowned her 3-year-old daughter in a bathtub at her dad's, the kid's grandpa's, because she didn't want to share her with her ex after the divorce. She's still in prison as far as I know. Both are kind of up. Where this do you work, dude? I work at a credit union, lol. Same thing happened with one of my neighbors. He was extremely nice, always willing to give my parents and other neighbors a hand when they needed it. I specifically remember him helping my dad shovel snow from our driveway so we could take the car out of the garage. He rode a bike everywhere, and whenever he saw us, he would wave at us. One day I was playing on my computer and I remember having heard what I thought were fireworks. I was a little kid and of course I noticed immediately anything related to fireworks. About 15 minutes later I heard the police and an ambulance arrive. He had shot his wife, his mother-in-law, and then committed. She was an assistant manager and was known for being soft-spoken. At a manager meeting, one of the general managers, who was known for being a total jackass to everyone, was going off on how every store should be run. Well, she snapped. You have the highest turnover rate out of any store in the district. You can't keep employees for more than 6 months before they just quit, all saying you were the problem. Maybe you should take that advice you're giving us and use it on yourself. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up, and thank you so much for the silver. So, for anyone who's invested in what happened next, she put in her 2 weeks, not even 3 days later. The manager who she yelled at was transferred to a different location out of that district. The store he managed has since bounced back and has been doing very well. There was a kid at my school in about 7th grade. His name was Lucas. He was loved by everyone, was so nice, and donated to charity regularly. Everyone knew him and respected him. One day a new kid came to our school. We'll name him Ryan. Ryan was a big douche. He hit people, pushed them around, threw food at people during lunch. Just honesty, a big ass. Well, one day he decided to pick on Lucas by doing his normal, and Lucas just went ballistic, punching, screaming, kicking. They were both suspended for 2 or 3 days. After their suspension, they both came back and Ryan had a black eye, bruises on his arms and left leg, and he looked awful. Ryan thought everyone would start to hate Lucas after what he did to him. But nope, everyone was tired of his and picked on him for how bad he looked. Lucas was just loved more for this incident, though he told me he got grounded for a week. Edit. Some people are asking how he donated to charity regularly. I meant he and his family did volunteer work, like fundraisers, and his parents always donated to charity about twice every month. My best friend had lost his mom to murder a few months prior when we were in the 10th grade. Somehow he had pulled himself together just enough to start going back to school. I don't know how he handled it with being an only child and growing up without a father. His mom was all he had. A kid that thought he was popular, that got on everyone's nerves, cracked wise to my friend's face about his mom's death. What he said isn't exactly sure. My friend threw him on the ground and punched him in the face multiple times. The end result was a broken nose, a broken left orbital, and my friend got kicked out of school. We were very grateful he taught him a lesson, but saddened it had to come at such a high cost. So how's friend doing now? It seems like school would have been the last remaining structure to his life. Really hope the answer isn't that he spiraled down. I'm pulling for friend here. Sounds like he's been dealt some real shifty biscuits in life. Not the answer you wanted, since he died from a drug overdose several years later. Life just never had mercy on him. A long time ago, I used to do call center tech support for fairly complex issues. A really nice, quiet guy went through the same training class. He talked if you talked to him, but never went out of his way to chat. Right after training, the call center changes a ton of stuff. We start getting squeezed on the amount of time we can documentation, how much research time we have, just metrics in general. It was utter because the favorites got to go on smoke breaks as often as they wanted with the managers. We'd essentially be punished for that because we had to keep the average numbers in a certain area. He did all the right things, talked to his manager, talked to their manager, then to HR. It kept getting worse, plus enforced overtime. Then he got a super long call. He was on it at least 2 hours about a complex issue, and the customer was just straight up abusing him, but he had to take it because the managers wouldn't give permission for him to hang up. And they were basically screaming at him to resolve this issue and get to his next call, but we couldn't end calls. The customer had too. One day he just stood up, stepped onto his chair, then onto his desk, threw his headset on the desk, and sort of growled something like, "Fuck this." Quietly, he looked around, staring people in the face, especially the people who took those long breaks and the managers. Then he walked out, and no one ever saw him again. Everyone was super quiet and afraid to move or say much of anything. So people would go on smoke breaks with managers, which would slow everything down and you guys would have to make up for them. Yep, and we often couldn't take breaks as a result. This actually led to people picking up smoking. I'm shaking my head just thinking about it. A lady where I used to work was subjected to constant sexual harassment by a much older coworker, and the company failed to do anything about it. He was showing up at her house, eventually forcing her to move house. After she moved into the new house, he bought the house next door. She arrived to work with a baseball bat and stopped at reception to ask if Tim was in. When they asked why, she calmly told them she was there to kill him. She walked upstairs to his office. Reception called ahead and had him take the fire escape, and she instead demolished his office until the police arrived. She was not charged. The company and police knew she had announced her intentions to reception as a cry for help. So she didn't actually find him because it was clear that if she had found him, she would have killed him. She took some sick leave and eventually returned to work. And the company put her on a project with this guy as her manager because protecting victimized women, right? I did not expect that ending. What year or place does this take place? Back in the early 90s, older brother's wedding. He's a very nice guy, almost too nice. He had a horrible girlfriend. He adored her though. She told him that he wasn't good enough and that she would break up with him unless he bought her this super fancy ring and married her. He did. His wedding was very stressful and she was extra nasty. After they cut the cake, she got herself a huge slice and left him with none, telling him he should go on a diet. For context, he was underweight. He was working his way up to average. He snapped, threw a handful of cake at her pretty dress and hair, then told her to expect divorce papers to sign. He proceeded to scream, cry, and rant about how horrible she was and how she made him. He's better now. They split up and live in different continents. I consider myself a friendly guy and I'm pretty quiet. So I was dating this girl and it turned out my female friend's boyfriend had dated her previously. And my friend, who I consider even friendlier than I, told me that she was a really toxic person. It didn't bother me too much as I'm one of those people that don't want to judge people based off of others' opinions. But about a month or two into the relationship, I started to see what my friend was talking about. So a few days later, I decided to break up with her. In the following days, she started shit-talking me and started spreading rumors about me and my friend. My friend's boyfriend heard these rumors and broke up with her. So we were both pretty pissed about the situation. 3 days later, my friend caught her ex kissing my ex and confronted them. She was relatively chill about it since it's not like he was really cheating, but it still hurt her. She was just about to leave when my ex said, "It probably hurts you more to know I was doing him while you were both dating." My friend slowly turns around and asks her to repeat herself. My ex happily obliges. Worst mistake of her life. My friend jumped onto her and started beating the out of her, even ripping out some of her hair. When she was done with her, she went up to her ex and said, "You want to cheat on me? That's fine, but you can get your beat with her." Slapped him and kicked him in the nuts. We still talk about this today. That's awful, but to be honest, and I hope I don't sound like a dick for saying this, but it sounds like you're both better off without them. Yeah, we are. My life has been a lot better since I stopped talking to that person. I mentioned this in another thread. Samoan friend, happiest, most friendly guy you ever want to meet. Some guy said something about his sister and of course it made him mad. My friend went after him and caught him, punched about 3 times and we realized he was going to kill him. It took 3 of us normal-sized guys to hold his arm back from hitting the guy one more time. We told the other to run like run now. He did. Our friend was mad at us for a while for stopping him. Then he went home. The next day it was as if nothing happened. He just went back to being a super nice guy. P.S. I forgot. A couple days later, our friend's big brothers were looking for that same guy that got the crap beat out of him. I don't think they found him, but never did see him again. When I was in high school, my group of like 6 friends were sitting at a round table in the cafeteria for breakfast. A table over. Some girls had been tossing small chunks of their food in our direction. My one friend Mia wore her hair in an unusual spiked-up style, and I guess the girls at the table were trying land food in her hair while cackling to themselves. Cue my quiet, sweet, introverted friend Emma getting so angry I swear steam was coming out of her ears. One of the girls had thrown a decent-sized piece of her egg patty at us, and it landed on the floor near Emma's foot. Emma proceeded to step on the egg patty, pick it up off the ground, walk over to the table of bullies, and shove the egg directly into the mouth of the one who had thrown it. This was such an amazing moment in my high school memory. I couldn't believe what I was seeing as Emma was the last person I would have expected to do that. Of course, she did get in trouble, but she didn't regret it one bit. How did the girls react when she shoved egg in their mouth? Lol. Amazing, your friend is a baller. She and her friends stood up and were like, "Oh my god, no, what the is wrong with you?" With much yelling and coughing, and Emma just walked back to our table. We were all staring in shock. Of course, a teacher got involved and both parties got in trouble. The bullies said they were going to fight us for a week afterward, but nobody ever did anything. To this day, we're all still like, "I can't believe she did that. LOL. I used to be really shy and quiet. As a single daughter of a single working mother, it was hard to socialize with people my age when everyone around me was 6 to 10 years older than me. This happened around 97 to 98. My mom decided to put me in private school. It was the biggest change of my life as these kids knew about computers, music, and English. I'm from Mexico, and I just knew the essential of everything since I came from public schools. First weeks were a nightmare since this girl decided to make fun of me. My skin, I was a lot darker. I was a Prieta and this girl was white, and my accent, this kid's didn't have the Region S accent for whatever reason. Things continue like that, and every day I felt sadder and lonelier until one day I just snapped. I started being friends with a girl that liked the same cartoons as I did, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, etc. And my bully didn't like that I wasn't letting her bully me. One day she decided to poke me with her pencil while we were in class since I was just too shy to say anything when there was a teacher. She continued to poke me until the teacher had to get out for something. So I just grabbed her pencil and threw it away. We started to fight in the middle of the classroom while everyone was either cheering, trying to stop us, or getting out to get the teacher. She ended up pinching, scratching, and hitting me, but she never expected me to actually fight back and fight back dirty. I grabbed her hair, punch her stomach, and bite her. I went full cola lol. I don't remember what happened or how I avoided getting expelled, but 2 weeks later I was in recess eating my lunch and talking happily with my best friend when all of a sudden she just came to us, handed me a bag of Cheetos, pizza flavor, and we never spoke about it again. Damn, she really didn't want anything more with you if she gave you free Cheetos. She got what she deserves. I agree, those Cheetos were extremely rare in Mexico, so she actually had to go cross the border in order to get them. Maybe her parents didn't want her daughter to get me angry anymore. Lol. In middle school, my 62 gentle giant friends, who is literally the nicest guy you'd ever meet, got teased about his mom by some short popular kid. My friend, no hesitation, picked him up by his shirt and slammed him against the locker at eye level and said, "Never talk about my mom like that." One of my favorite memories of him. One of my friends, a nice kid, was getting talked by some, and when one of them made a comment about his mom, he literally dragged him by a shirt into the bathroom and broke his nose and left him covered in bruises. This woman, Laura, I worked with, pleasant and cheerful, said hello in the lunchroom and was generally liked. She worked in finance and special projects. She said she wanted to retire in a few years and she had been working there for 15 years. Her boss started pressuring her to complete our annual budget report faster, but this thing is huge and comprehensive and a figurative beast. Laura told the boss it would be ready in a couple of weeks for the usual schedule. The boss said that it needed to be completed within 1 week to give to the higher-ups. Laura said it wasn't possible. Boss emailed Laura and a bunch of coworkers and the assistant managers calling Laura out for a poor work ethic and for making the department look bad. Laura said it wasn't possible and didn't appreciate being bullied. She put in her notice to retire by the end of the week, leaving her boss high and dry. She was the only one who could do the budget report in a timely manner. So the department was double good for her. Wait, did Laura reply all on the email to say she didn't appreciate being bullied? Because that would be pretty epic. She replied that it wasn't possible and included her union representative for good measure. An acquaintance of mine, Dylan, was always a quiet kid.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to see more stories.